Hey, it's Chris here from Drift, and today we are talking about sink tips for salmon and steelhead. If you're looking to swing or strip flies for salmon and steelhead, then sink tips are really a must-have. They do a couple of things for you. First off, they help get your fly down. We're talking about attaching a detachable sink tip today, anywhere from 5 to 15 feet long, onto a floating fly line. So these will turn your fly line into essentially a sink tip fly line and help get your fly down in the zones where those fish are. The other benefit to fishing these is they help slow your fly down. So the fastest currents in a river are generally at the surface, and they progressively get slower as you go down. And so naturally, if you can get your fly line below those surface currents, your fly will start slowing down as well, which can be really beneficial, especially if you're fishing in colder water where fish don't want to chase a fly as much. So there's a lot on the market, and they can be admittedly a little confusing sometimes. So we're going to break it down pretty simply. First off, a lot of the sink tips are not going to be applicable for you. So if you look at things like Mo tips, Third Coast tips, replacement tips, these are generally made for fishing with shooting heads on two-handed spey casting rods. If you're fishing a single hand rod, they aren't going to be so applicable for you. They're simply too heavy or too long to really effectively pick up. Technically, in a pinch, you could do it, but for most people's setups, it's going to be fairly clunky unless you have some kind of specialized spey casting setup. If you are looking for sink tips for one of those setups, definitely they're very relevant and can help you out. You're going to generally be restricted to one or two styles of sink tips still, so there's going to be a correct series of sink tip to look at. And if you get in touch with us at the shop, we can advise on which one of these tips is going to be appropriate for you. Otherwise, for your average setup, if you're just fishing, say, a single hand line, what you really want to look at are poly leaders and Versa leaders. These are basically the same product from two different brands. We have the Airflow poly leaders here and the Rio Versa leaders. Both are super versatile for you, and really all they are is something that's going to replace your tapered leader and turn your line into a sink tip. So all they've done with these is taken a tapered nylon leader, and on top of it they applied a sinking fly line coating. So it gives it a little bit more weight than a regular leader, which helps it power out larger flies, and then of course helps it sink. And onto the end of these, because these replace your tapered leader, you're just going to tie a little chunk of tippet on there. Usually that's 10, 12 pounds, something fairly strong, and usually not terribly long. We're talking a few feet usually for most of our swinging needs around here. They're really easy to use. They just loop onto your fly line, and they come in a whole whack of different densities or sink rates. So you can get these anywhere from just an intermediate sink rate that sinks only at about 2 inches per second, all the way down to a very fast 6 inch or so per second sink rate for your fastest and deepest water. These are also available in different lengths, which are going to, again, be appropriate for different types of setups. If you're using a single hand rod, the shorter lengths are going to be more manageable generally. So we really love the 5 or the 8-foot poly leaders. These are super easy to pick up and cast. Really, you won't notice too much difference at all switching from your regular floating setup to these. And then if you are looking for something that's going to have a little bit more effect, get you down deeper, they do make longer 10-foot configurations, which of course will get you deeper, but can be a little bit of a learning curve to cast, admittedly. So for most people, single hand rods, we're talking 5, 8-foot poly leaders. And for most of our rivers, if you were to get the slow sink and the fast sink variants of that, you would be in really good shape for a whole range of different techniques. So we hope that helps answer what are sink tips, how to use them. Get a couple and play with them this fall. Let us know how you like them. We'll see you on the water.